Buenos Dias today on DOOP by the River. Your Philadelphia Union continue to make history. Yes, indeed. We're going to talk about last night's victory in some sort of way against Atlanta United. We're going to look ahead at this upcoming Saturday as our Philadelphia have to travel up to the Windy City to face off against Chicago Fire. And don't go anywhere, guys, because you do not want to miss this episode of DOOP by the River. And let's get this started, guys. Hey, Dolly! And that is right. Welcome, everyone, to DOOP by the River, the show where we follow everything Philadelphia Union, brought to you by Philly Sports Network. Before we dive into everything we got to get to, and there's a lot to get to today, two big matches that we got to, one we got to review, the other one we got to preview. So before we get into that, of course, let me introduce you guys to my lovely panel of Doopers here. First up, my man, Tim Lovinguth, rocking the beautiful Allen Iverson jersey, ladies and gentlemen. We are well represented, 5 for 5 Philly sports fans here with our Sixers gear. What's up, Tim?
Not much. Riding high off of that Union win, or I should say draw. It was a draw. We gotta say it correctly. But then like 4-1 on aggregate win over Atlanta. The fact that the Union have the best coach in Philadelphia, which we'll get into later, because he's just amazing. And yeah, repping the Sixers tonight, guys. They're about to go 2.5 games up on the Nets. That's what's going to happen tonight, right?
We can only hope. Anytime a Philly team gets up on New York, that's always good for us. Let's get it, boys. Tom, what is going on, my man? Thank you for tuning on in to DOOP by the River tonight. We appreciate you hopping on in here tonight. Guys, please, in the comments or in person, whatever, please give a round of applause to Tim. Last night, Tim took over our DOOP by the River podcast Twitter account, and my man absolutely killed it yet again. So seriously, big shout out to my man Tim Lovinguth. Great job last night, my brother.
Well, thanks, guys. Yeah.
It was great. We love the reactions. We love it, man.
Of course.
And of course, our other Dooper, we have my man, Mr. Justin Freiberg, Atlanta's #1 salt provider, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, Justin?
Ready to get down.
Sprinkler?
Yeah, a little like salt flakes. Little.
I love it.
No, I'm ready to discuss some fireworks that happened, and there was a game.
That's right. That's great. Yeah, the most important part, there was actually a match being played last night. That is right, guys. First of all, before we move forward, happy Wednesday. Today's actually Cinco de Mayo. I got to ask you guys, I feel like I'm kind of a boomer now. My early 20s, I used to love Cinco de Mayo. I used to love going out, getting those beer specials, those tequila shot specials, those taco specials. But now that I'm a little older, I got responsibilities. I don't really care to go out to drink for a holiday, as Heather's calling me out here. Am I a boomer, or am I wrong here? I don't really want to go out and drink.
Technically, no. Considering Cinco de Mayo in America is kind of a bastardized version of the actual holiday.
Thank you.
It's so not really. It kind of blows people's minds when you realize that what you think of as Cinco de Mayo is literally an American invention, like the churro.
Yes. Absolutely, man. No, I mean, I just listen. Even my girl and I is like, can we do Mexican night? We had pancheros before the Union match yesterday. I was like, listen, and Tim knows very well. Happy wife or happy girl, happy world. So
yeah, I was gonna say yeah.
She wants Mexican food. We're eating Mexican food tonight, so I had to bring that up. Of course, you guys know me, but yeah, Justin's bringing the play.
Yeah, great, Tommy. I'm chucking those fuckers that just taking a big bag and just
dropping it on the peach, on the Georgia peaches.
one salty peach.
Oh man! All right. Well. Before we get into this game, guys, do not forget to subscribe to Duke by the River wherever you listen to podcasts: Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever. Duke by the River can be found on there. Also on PSN Radio, or you can find all your Philly Sports Network podcasts on there: the Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, Flyers, and of course us, the Union here. You can find that on there as well. And of course, subscribe to Ed Parcetto Phillies YouTube channel for all the visual portions of the pod. And we will also have the vlog from last night. Some good stuff on there. That will be out tomorrow as well. But boys, let's get into it because obviously last night, as Tim alluded to, it was a win, but it was a draw. It's the weird part about soccer. We drew last night as a final score 1-1 against Atlanta, but of course in the total aggregate, we would wind up moving on a 4-1 complete aggregate. Again, another huge round for the Philadelphia Union. Continue making history. Continue putting the city on the map, making us Philadelphians, us Philly sports fans, super happy and proud to call ourselves Union fans here. But last night, I'll be honest with you, it could have gone either way as far as the result of last night as a whole. There was moments where I felt like the Union were the better team. There was moments where I felt like Atlanta United were the better team. It was a really tight, contested match. You know, even look at the stat line. Atlanta had most of possession, but the Union kept firing away at Brad Guzan last night. But again, the most important part, the Union got the job done. And before the end of the first half, oh my God, freaking Sosa of Atlanta United gets a goal, and I'm just like, no, we can't have this happening. But second half, credit the Union. They came out firing in that second half. It looked like 5 opportunities. And then, of course, Kasper Shabilko in the 88th minute put a smile on all of us Union fans' faces as it literally was the kind of the stamp on the envelope for last night. And it punched our ticket to the next round. We'll talk about who can be our potential next matchup here. But we'll start off with Tim here. Timmy, man, what did you think of last night? What was going through your mind watching the Union doing it to Atlanta, duping to Atlanta?
Honestly, being up 3-0 to start a match. I mean, I know the scoreboard says 0-0, but when you know it's 3-0 going into a game against Atlanta, and the Union already like to kind of sit back and look to hit Atlanta on the counter when Atlanta overextend, I felt like just a huge weight lifted. Even when Atlanta scored the goal, I was like, they still need 2 more just to force extra time. Like, you know, it's just a completely different feeling in a 2-leg playoff, especially when you can win 3-0 at Atlanta. But yeah, seeing the boys have that type of performance yesterday where they conceded possession and looked to hit on the counterattack without El Brujo, you know, having Leon Flock at the 6, I thought he did extraordinarily well. That was kind of my main question ahead of the match. I know Jim Curtin said that that's his natural and preferred position. But, you know, you get thrown out there on an island without anyone next to you in that position. He did wonderfully. And then I know we're going to talk a little bit later about Olivier Bizo as well, but he is really impressing down on the right flank, getting forward. And, you know, we talked before the pod, you know, doing things that Ray Gaddis wouldn't do in terms of attacking and some of the flair and moves that you like to see out of a Union player out there on the wing.
Absolutely.
Almost. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think just you know, we could probably go through the starting 11 and even some of the subs and say, yeah, everyone kind of came in and did their job. They you know, there wasn't any player I think that really did anything terribly, you know, against Atlanta, who were going to have the ball most of the time. So I think they executed the game plan.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Justin, kind of elaborate on that, man. Leon Flack, to me, he has to be one of the most underrated signings already in the MLS, dude. And we haven't even completed a month of play yet. I was really intrigued to see what he would look like back at the 6. I feel like when he plays at the left, he has a little bit of freedom, but the defensive prowess that man has. What did you see from him at the 6?
Yeah, that is his natural position. He played that at St. Pauli, and it's clear why. It's all right. Monterrey just scored, so
oh no,
and already bad goal from Eloy Room to give up. But yeah, Leon, I saw a very promising idea, which is I think you can. It makes you feel comfort that knowing how El Brujo plays, that you have a very capable starter who can go in there and play with the same tenacity, but also know not when to cross the line. I mean, I think I'm not sure. Did Leon get a card last night?
I don't
I
think so.
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so. But like I said, he towed that line pretty well in terms of
Yeah, he did.
really really.
Yeah,
Good. And the biggest thing that I saw from him was he reminded me a lot of Brendan with the ridiculous pace and energy he had. I mean, he just kept running like an Energizer bunny, just kept running and running and running. Like he'd break up a play and then run up the right side and like make a run and then lay the ball off. Like he had a ball, I believe it was him, or he passed it off to Bizo, and he found Sergio on that like diagonal run. Like Sergio came all the way from the left side, and it was I thought it was Leon. It was the outside of the left foot, like plays the ball up the line, and that ball had enough curve on it, and it stayed for Sergio as he was making that darting run across. And I was like, I think I looked at my dad, and I was like, holy shit! Like that was a textbook, through ball. And it really does make an interesting question. And I do wonder now that you have plenty of time in between the quarterfinals and semifinals, and now with the extended layoff that El Brujo certainly will have. I mean, I think it's going to be at least 3 games, maybe 4 for this incident. I do wonder if now that you're going to start focusing on the league again, if you're going to see more rotation. And I know Jim isn't known for rotation. And I know he said he doesn't quote unquote trust his younger players, but I think there's going to be more. You do have, and I'll address Heather's question. I'm not really worried about a lack of depth because I think we have depth. Like, okay, yeah, Finlay's out at the moment, but Colin as a serviceable backup isn't the worst thing to come in if you need him. You have plenty of midfield help. Okay, you might be a tiny bit thin up top, but you have plenty of players in the midfield who can play up top if needed. So there's going to be a lot of rotation, I think, given the congestion of games. And I'm not particularly worried about the depth on this team, because I think there is plenty of it, despite having some injuries at the moment. But I mean, again, given the congestion of games, you're gonna have injuries.
Oh, of course, absolutely. I mean, well, first off, guys, Heather, you as well, put some respect on Aurelian Colin. This is Courtney's crush here, okay? So please, okay? He's more than capable of coming on in here. No, but in all seriousness, to me, the only question I have with our depth is Elsinho. Once he gets back to full health, is he going to be the Elsinho that we all love and know? So that's the only question. But yeah, I'm not worried about it. Fontana, it's looking like he might be someone that's going to come off the bench. The way it's looking like right now, all the competition's been going on. You still have Corey Burke, who we'll talk about in a second. I liked what he did when coming into the match, but nice shot by Zardes. But yeah, I have no problems there with the depth. And Leon's tackling, man. There was 2 tackles where I was like, whoa, is there going to be a whistle there? And no. And I look at you look at the replays, clean tackles. I mean, so far to me, Glez's looked like the best tackler, but I mean, Leon might be the best one now.
Oh my God, there were several, at least 3 or 4 in like a 5 to 10 minute span that like he would come in from behind. Yeah, listen, Heather, Jess has a lot of crushes. It's I mean, some of them might as she says, I believe she said have bordered on restraining order level of obsession. So let's but no, I do think that with the way this team is set up, I I think that you might consider there be a lack of depth, but Leon's tackling. Oh my God, there's a couple where you thought he was beat, and he comes in from behind, and there was a few times he'd come in, slide, the precision tackle, steal the ball away, get up, and start running, and you'd have the Atlanta player on the ground like looking for the foul, and the ref would point and like he's like all ball like that. He did the the like he got the ball, the signal. I'm like, oh wow. I'm like that's and the thing is, like, you can't teach those kind of instincts. I mean, you can tell players how to position themselves, and you can, but I think when it comes to those kind of instincts, I think you just have to have those natural instincts as a player. And Leon has an amazing soccer IQ. It is
Oh my God,
very apparent that I think with the right development with this team, I think he could be one of those next players that you flip for a certain amount of money.
Ooh,
Like,
okay.
not like a Brendan money, but like I'd say even maybe like 3 million. Like it just like a normal like what you would.
I don't think Heather agrees with you.
With
I wouldn't hate it. I know he's left-footed.
I wouldn't hate it either. I mean, honestly, he'd be a good replacement should Bedoya leave or retire.
Or just need some rest. I mean, Flock covers literally every position in the midfield. You could play him at the 10 if you were desperate enough. I know that you have enough players to play the 10 where you don't want him up there, but he could get in there. And I'm going to say something about Leon Flock that I think might be a little bit of a hot take.
Do it.
Right now, I mean, he's going to be playing the 6, like Justin said, probably for the next 3 league games. I would think maybe more if Brujo's suspension is longer.
I would say it's going to be at least 4 games.
We'll have to see what the disciplinary committee says for that. But the Union have 5 games here in May, and then they have a good little 2-week break for the Gold Cup that starts at the beginning of June.
Okay, is that what the break was? I wasn't 100% sure. I saw that. I figured I wasn't sure when the Gold Cup was this year.
Yeah, if Leon Flock,
or is that Nations League?
It's either Nations League or Gold Cup. It's one of the two. They have a 2-week break. Okay. But regardless, if Leon Flock comes in and it kills it at the 6 in all of these games, and the Union go on a run, in the league to get some major points, what happens to Brujo when he comes back? Like, is it going to be, flip flop? Do you play, both or again, or is it just Flock at the 6 and you have Brujo on the bench? Like,
Honestly, Tim, I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that take. I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to bring up like the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, he is German American.
He is German American. I wouldn't hate it. I mean, I don't want him to leave right now and go on any kind of international duty. But yeah, I think Flock could legitimately win the 6 position, even if Brujo comes back, based on his style of play. I really do. And we'll have to see how long the suspension is. I think it really depends on how long the suspension is. And I love Brujo and his tenacity, but Flock seems a little bit more solid. Like, he's not going to get many cards, and he's going to win those tackles. So
the one reason that, I mean, Tim, there is some validity with the way Jim has, like, if a player plays well enough that even sometimes a player coming back from a suspension or injury does not get their spot back. Mm-hmm. At the same time, the one thing that I don't want to put throw cold water on your raging hot take, but Jim is Jim, and he does like to go with the lineup that he prefers, and that lineup does include Leon, but it includes Leon at the shuttler.
That's fine.
And I mean, your diamond midfield of Brujo, Leon, Bedoya, and Jamiro most likely.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I would say that would be a bit not like that's never gonna happen. I'm like, it's one of those, knowing how Jim is with his lineup changes, it feels like I don't necessarily think that it could stay that way. But I could be totally wrong.
Yeah, I really do think it's gonna do. I think Jim takes what he sees in practice and on the pitch more so than his preferred, what he thought was his preferred thing before injuries or suspension happened. So yeah, we'll see. This could also provide a huge opportunity for Anthony Fontana, as we saw in Atlanta, the game against Atlanta. He gets the start. He wasn't terrible. Got on the ball a few times. Connected a few passes. I would like to see him shoot the ball a little bit more. I know he had a few opportunities blocked, kind of right on the edge of the box where he likes to shoot from. But it could be another huge, opportunity for the veteran homegrown, as we call him here.
Wait till it gets warm and that leg starts warming up. He'll start scoring those screamers for sure. Man, I don't like Texas, but they sure know how to tackle. That's for sure. Whether it be football or football, they know how to tackle for sure down there. Tim, elaborate more on Mbaizo. What is so different from Mbaizo to Ray Gaddis?
Ray Gaddis was the shutdown defender, stay at home right back. You knew when he was out on the pitch, especially when the Union were playing more of like a 4-2-3-1, that Gaddis would be out there on that island and he would shut guys down, and then he wouldn't really move that well going down the line moving forward. Especially as they switched to the 4-4-2 diamond. And Gaddis was asked to move up the field more. He did, he was a good pro, but you could tell he was very uncomfortable when he was on the ball. And that's the main difference with Mbaizo. When you see Mbaizo move up the wing, he's definitely more comfortable on the ball. Mm-hmm. He loves that overlapping run into a first-time cross to put a cross into the box, which actually frustrates me a little bit. I think sometimes he could take a touch, because there's a few times where he hit a one-time cross into the box, and there was a runner making more of a delayed run rather than that initial run to one of the posts. But that's the main difference, is you see Mbaizo has the more of the flair on the ball and can actually do more moving forward. He's shown he can hit a really good cross. And we saw it last night. If he gets kind of tangled up in the box a little bit, he might be able to win the ball and put a shot on net, which he almost scored if Kuzan wasn't right there.
Imagine.
Yeah, that would have been crazy. But I think that's the main difference there for you.
Could you imagine if he would have scored in what would be his 10th start or 11th start, whatever it is now?
Yeah, not many.
We waited 10 years for Ray Gaddis' call.
Yeah.
We never got it. Listen, we love Ray Gaddis here. We love us some Ray Gaddis here. And his attitude was spectacular. His hard work, it's something that can be learned from a lot of these players. But yes, you nailed it. Olivier is definitely a little bit more skillful when it comes to attacking. He knows how to cross. But even to Tim, he likes to display his skill. There's 2 instances where he fakes out the Atlanta defender, and he adds a little bit of his flair to that. And I love that. I love that flair. And that's the type of stuff we didn't get with Ray. It's a type of confidence that he has there.
Yeah.
Heather, I hope not. I really hope not. And to the point that Justin and Tim were talking about, look, for me, this is strike 2 for El Brujo. You have to hold your composure. This is the pros, okay? I don't know what he was doing in Zuluá down in Venezuela, but you cannot be doing that stuff here. And listen, we thought he was really important for what we do on the attack, but Jim just showed us that we don't need El Brujo to create that attack, that flow of the attack. We could easily do that with Leon Flack. So I really hope, you guys know my love for El Brujo, but I really hope he does fix those problems there. Justin, I want to talk to you about the best goal scorer in Champions League, Kasper Shabilko. 88th minute, puts the goal that makes us go absolutely bonkers. Dude, just talk about, obviously last night not as much. I mean, he really didn't hear a lot about him other than the goal, but just overall what he's looked like in Champions League. Spectacular, bro.
Yeah, I know Owen didn't like me saying this last week, but I'm gonna repeat it again. Kasper Shabilko statistically is the best striker in CONCACAF right now. He's leading the charge with 5 goals. And honestly, I look at it. I look at it so far in the 4 games that you've played in Champions League. Which, by the way, Union undefeated in international play.
Hey,
Just saying. We're the best team in Philly, and we're also the best team in Philly, dominating North and Central America. But listen, with Casper, for all the crap that we've given him, and I think rightfully so, because I think he's even been harsh on himself. Like, he knows listen, in terms of, for a big guy, his technical ability is great.
yeah.
The ability for him to pull the ball out of his feet and get off a shot with either foot is one thing that I do like about him. The one concern that I've always had, and he's been hard on himself about it, is that finishing. Is he gets it on net, like he gets the shots on net. Don't get me wrong, but there's times where it's like the goalie makes the save and he could have put it maybe just a little farther wide, but when it comes to the Champions League right now, I mean, you're talking 5 goals in 4 games. He's in the right spots. If you look at all the goals he's scored, he has literally been in the right spot at the right time. First game against Saprissa, he's wide open for a header in the middle of
Biza.
And you're like, from a great cross from Biza, who I will say has brought way more to the attack with that 1-2 combination with him and Bedoya down that side is fantastic. I love it. And that's been a huge asset to the attack of the season, which has helped get Casper more chances. You have the second leg against the Prisma. He adds another one. Once again, he's there. Like, right spot, right time, finishes. Against Atlanta, I mean, the first goal, come on. The ball just happened to fall right to him after Glesnes. It looks like Glesnes gets a piece of it, and then it flicks off a bellow. And next thing you know, Casper is just standing in the middle with no one on him, and he just taps it right in. And then the second goal, I mean, with a great, build up from Leon and Sergio, and then he takes one touch and blasts it past Guzan's big bald head. And then this game, I mean, you have, Corey, makes a great run down the side. You have him cross the ball. I believe it was Jamiro making that near post run and dummying it. It was a great play.
Was it actually a dummy? I missed that. I thought it was. I thought the cross was really intended for him, and he kind of got pushed off the ball.
I think it might have been at least an unintentional dummy. Like,
fair enough.
I think Jamiro just went past it, so I think it looked like he might have overran it, and I think in that he pulled the defender just a little for like a half second, pulled him a little deeper, and that allowed the ball to come through to Casper. He takes one touch and blasts it past Guzan again. Like, he's in the right place at the right time. And, for a striker, that's literally all you want him to be. You want him to be like, don't get me wrong, he can drop deep and create, counter the 1-2, but don't you want him in the box, being in the right place at the right time? And, he's getting tap-ins, but the biggest thing I look for in a striker is, I'm not looking for golazzos left and right. Don't get me wrong; it's nice to see it, but the biggest thing with a striker is their instincts.
Yeah,
where are they in the box? Where are they making the runs? Are they making near post? Are they making far post? Are they attacking ball? Are they trying to beat the defender? To get a touch on it. The two strikers that I look at when I think right now of that kind of presence worldwide, one I think is obvious in Robert Lewandowski. I mean, the man's in the right place at the right time.
Must be a Polish thing.
And he creates his thing. But the other one I don't know if it comes as a surprise to some people. I think to Johnny, it definitely won't come as a surprise, is Edison Cavani.
I know.
If you look at Cavani, the biggest thing, and as a Man U fan, I've seen it this entire year, and it's the one thing that they've been missing, is he puts himself in the right positions. He's not outrunning someone, but he puts himself in the right position. I mean, the amount of times I've seen him beat a defender to the near post and flick the ball on, even for an assist, or making that near post run and just getting a flick on it just to score a goal. Like, that's the kind of instincts you want from a striker. You want someone who's, yeah, listen, they're going to put in the dirty work, yeah, but are they going to do the little things that might not result in a goal, but they result in maybe a save and a corner, then results in the goal. Like, it's the little things that add up to the goal totals. And okay, yeah, in the league right now, they're struggling for goals, admittedly. But you know what? I mean, I said this.
Yeah.
The way Casper's been playing in Champions League, it's just too difficult to bench him at this point. Like,
Oh, no.
I really don't think you can bench him just because he's been playing so well in Champions League. You go, okay, you know what? He's gonna break through in the league. Like, it's very clear.
Yeah.
And I like his instincts on the ball. And you know, again, it's right place, right time. And Kasper Szyboko has been at the right place and the right time in all 4 games so far of Champions League.
Yeah.
It's so funny, and it's funny that we always get discredited in Philly, but like, even when it comes to Kasper Szyboko, we can be very much like Philly sports fans. When I was talking to AJ from Atlanta United Fan TV, you know, they were all in Atlanta raving about Kasper Szyboko. And like, he's a really talented goal scorer, and like, it's almost like talking about Ben Simmons. Like, you know, you talk to average NBA fans, they're all like so happy or they have their thoughts on Ben Simmons, as Monterrey put up 2 now on Columbus.
Hi, Columbus Crew.
So sorry, Owen.
It looks like MLS's CCL hopes might ride on the Union.
Yeah, we'll get to that, man. We'll get to
Yikes.
that. But no, when it comes to Kasper, I feel like in Philly we're so harsh, but it's because, and I use this mantra too, like, I don't want Kasper to be the friendly striker. I want Kasper to be the mean, deadly, a-hole striker. And the only criticism I have with him really is just the consistency, because I do see, like, I see him being that dominant goal scorer, like the best goal scorer in the MLS. Like, you see it there. I just want to see more consistently. That's really all it is for me, man, when it comes to Kasper.
For Kasper, I mean, Jim has said it since Kasper has arrived in Philly. He thinks Kasper is the best finisher on the team, and when he's on, it seems like that is true. But then there's those times where, oh, thank you. There seems like there's times where he's when he's off, you know, it's like, it's just so frustrating because you know the quality that he does possess, like Justin was saying, and if he, you know, finds a few shots that are a little bit, you know, closer to the keeper than to the corner of the net, you know, you see fans kind of getting on his back a little bit. But hey, right now, with the form that he's on, like Justin said again, he could turn this into a run of form into league play. Like I mentioned, the Union have 5 matches here in May before a break, and they're going to be playing a lot of games. And if Kasper can, you know, get some goals in some of these games here, he'll get the Union right back up in the, you know, top half of the standings in no time.
Yes, sir. I agree. Man, Eloy Room being put to work tonight for Columbus. I didn't even know Monterrey is coached by Javier Aguirre. I didn't even notice that. But, man, these Mexican teams are tough. Why is Zillarreal not playing?
He's suspended. He's suspended.
That's huge.
Yellow card.
He got a yellow card in I think in the first leg, kind of early on. Yeah.
That's tough for Columbus, man. And I'm sure he wanted to play against his former rival as well.
Yeah.
That is definitely tough. So to the run of play. So a lot of fans are concerned about the run of play of the Union. Last night, yes, you got the job done. I still don't think it was their best performance. Obviously, we all know what happened against NYCFC and Inter. What are your Justin, you can start off here. What are your thoughts on the run of play here, man? How worried should these guys be?
Not particularly worried. And I'm gonna start with, and I brought it up pre-show, but the expected goals totals that that we had for the Union for that game. The Union's expected goals was 2.33 to Atlanta's 0.41. And that's insane. That's an insane margin. But no, listen. I think, first of all, it's 3 games into the season in terms of MLS play. Okay, yeah, you've lost 2 home games, and one in which you were, basically playing down a man for 75 minutes. And even down 1 goal, that's not going to be great. And yeah, you didn't play great against Miami, but you had a decent game against Columbus. And Jim's even said they've prioritizing Champions League over league play for the moment. And now that you have a break until August, I'm sure Jim's looking at, okay, we now have 2 months to really, just focus on the league, just get everything settled. And listen, you've seen what they can do. It's even when it's not perfect, it's still, this is one of the I say more the better Union teams outside of maybe last year that you've had in a while. You have a lot of the young depth that's going to be used. I'm not worried, and I think for any Union fan that is really concerned, my response is you're 3 games into a season, and you're also in the CONCACAF Champions League semifinals. Like, okay, yeah, your MLS performance hasn't been particularly great, but oh, by the way, you are now 2 games away, 3 games of 2 games from the CCL final, but 3 games from the Club World Cup. Now think about the Union playing the Club World Cup, I believe, in Japan next year. I'm just saying, we've all talked with our favorite Union fan soccer reporter Dan in Tokyo. We said
Dan, the man from Japan.
We told Dan we'll be ready to come down if the Union, and I know that's, again, 3 games is a lot, but the way the Union have played in CCL, it feels like it could be a possibility.
Yeah.
And now that you have a break and now that you can focus on the league, I'm not too worried. It's 3 games into a 34-game season.
Amen.
I'm not particularly worried. Like,
not at all.
It's like if you're 10 games and you're 2, 3, and 5, I go, okay, maybe there's a little room for concern. But if the Union turn it around and say you're like 4, 3, and 3, I'm like, okay, like I can, that's a decent run. Like I that I can work with that. But no, it's 3 games of the season. Pump the brakes. Let's slow it.
Absolutely. That's why I wanted you to tell them. I wanted you to calm them down, man, because I saw it too, and I understand 1.23 matches. No one wanted to be in that situation. But listen, what would you rather have right now, guys? This is the question you have to ask yourself. Would you rather have an MLS Cup or a Champions League? That's what you have to ask yourself right now. I think for right now, eyes on the prize on Champions League. We'll worry about the rest of it. The thing is MLS Cup is literally like 6 months, 7 months down the line. So we got plenty of time for that. But we got some comments here, and obviously, look, so if all results stay the same, the Union will be the last remaining MLS team. Now, yes, some words I can't translate because obviously.
I was going to say it's been a while since I took Spanish in high school, but from the one some I remember, and from the stuff I learned from the guys in the back working restaurant jobs, I know enough to know what that means. Oh boy.
Yeah, Ruli, we agree. We would agree with you there, my man. But yeah, so here's the thing, guys. So yes, if everything stays the same, we will be the last remaining MLS club. So like Justin said, that is absolutely wild to think that Philly would be the last remaining MLS team in this tournament, where MLS teams usually don't do well. So it's really crazy to think about. But the fact that the Union have the possibility of playing Mexican giant Club America would be so huge for our club, guys. I don't even care if we win that series. I don't. I really don't care if we win that series. Just being there in the Azteca, the mighty Azteca, like just that. That as an, I'm like, I'm
DOOP by
going.
the Azteca? Did we?
We'll see if we'll ask Liam if that's in the PSN budget.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I hope we can swing some PSN bucks.
Oh, you know I want to go there.
That would be so fun.
Obviously, we're gonna have plenty of time to talk about it, but just right off the bat, that's kind of what I was thinking after the Casper goal. Is like, imagine Philly in the Azteca, one of the most legendary soccer stadiums in the world, dude. Goosebumps, guys, goosebumps. Right now.
It's like the history behind that. It's just so much.
Maradona's goal.
So much history in that stadium.
USA breaking the streak in the Azteca was like 50 years, something like that.
The Michael Bradley
half field goal, yeah,
like 40 yards, and you're like, I know it was a draw, but you're like, oh my god, like
they didn't.
Michael Roscoe scoring and beating Mexico at the Azteca, and there's so much history in that stadium.
Yeah,
it's so iconic. It's giving me goosebumps just thinking about it.
For the new soccer fans here that are American sports fans, the Azteca is a very legendary soccer stadium, but it's also where they do play NFL in Mexico. So that's probably why you will recognize it when the Union play there. When the Union play there, we got to get that there. But guys, yes, I want to get that out the way because it's pretty surreal to think about. But the last point on this match I want to talk about is our coach, our manager, Jim Curtin, who stole the headlines after the match with Gabriel Heinze. They got into it a little bit. This kind of stemmed after the leg one in Atlanta, where it seemed as if that Jim went up to go shake Gabriel Heinze like the classy man he is, and Gabriel was a little reluctant to shake the hand. Whatever. You fast forward to last night. Jim wins the aggregate. They move on. He goes up to shake his hand again. Gabriel has some words to say. The best part about that moment, I love Ali Bedoya. You know, Ali Bedoya, the captain, is right there. He's got Jim's back, dude.
Yeah, he does.
Just standing there, and he's kind of smiling. I could see. I'm like,
I loved it. I see those people don't realize those moments what signifies a well-ran club. Your manager sticking up for his boys. Your captain sticking up for his manager. Oh, loved it. Loved it. Oh my God, it was great. But so the press conference. So we get to the press conference, right? Obviously, they ask him what went down after the match because obviously it was a little heated back and forth. Now, Jim is kind of a soft-spoken guy when it comes to like the public, right? When it comes to the team, he's a different story. But when it comes to the public, he's a little soft-spoken. But he told us how it was, which I loved even more. He gave his respect to Heinze as a player, as a coach. Great. But saying he was kind of an asshole was fantastic. Now, look,
he straight up said, "Sore loser."
Yes,
a sore loser and an asshole.
But to me, boys, like, look, we talked about this in the last pod when we talked after the first leg of Atlanta. This is something that happens in soccer worldwide. Christ, I've seen Atlanta do the wasting of the time, the flopping and whatnot.
Everyone does it.
Everyone does it. I don't understand how Gabriel, the actual manager, is upset about it.
I know he, as in his career, playing for the clubs he did the same thing.
Exactly. I just don't get it. Tim, just, start off here, your thoughts on Jim and the situation as a whole, man.
Yeah, I mean, to hear Jim pull that quote out, just to read part of it, he said,
I might tat this on me, Tim, so keep going.
He's an incredible coach. He's an incredible player, but you can still be a sore loser and be an asshole at the end of the game. So I still think there's a right way. I think he should shake hands like a man after a game.
Like a man.
They'll probably have something to say now that I've said that. But again, I'm not going to sit here and take it anymore. That's the full quote. And a lot of it, honestly, has to do, like you said, the whole fact that they didn't shake hands before the first game. and a lot of it has kind of come out afterwards in speculation of, Jim Curtin was an MLSer for life.
Right.
He played American soccer. He's an American coach. He's brought up through the American coaching system, and now coaches in MLS. Heinze is not that. He was a European player, played for huge clubs, coached bigger clubs, and now is in MLS. So it almost feels as if there's almost that like air of disrespect that Curtin wouldn't say I'm sorry for the way that he played. That's what it seemed like between the two coaches. Like Heinze expected an apology and Curtin wanted a handshake because
he wanted Jim to bow down to him, pretty much.
Yeah, essentially. And a lot of it now is, American soccer. There's good players now. There's good coaches. It's not the same like it used to be back when Curtin played. The stigma around American players and coaches were that they were no good and they were lesser. And Jim Curtin's the freaking MLS Coach of the Year, the reigning MLS Coach of the Year, and he just outcoached Gabriel Heinze, and he just wanted to pay his respects to the Atlanta coach by shaking his hand. And apparently that causes problems for Heinze. People might take part of Curtin's quote the wrong way where he says, shake hands like a man. I think more of what he's saying is, you need to have that respect for the game and that he sees, between his players and the other players on the pitch. So, shaking hands after a match is just what you do. It doesn't matter if you get stomped or if you feel like you were wronged, you still go and shake the other person's hand that you played. That's just how it goes.
What do you got for me, Justin?
I mean, we all know Jim is Philly through and through, but my man represented the area very well. Listen, we all love Jim. We all know he is arguably probably one of the most fashionable coaches in the league. Shoe game on point last night. I mean, those Jordans, those blue Jordans. Whoo, that was some. I've heard his shoe collection it's a very big collection, and he has a separate closet just for the shoes, and that it's become almost a jokingly point of contention between him and his wife because he's got a lot of shoes.
Maybe that's why Heinze didn't like him last week.
He felt disrespected by the sneaker game. I mean, listen,
how are you out dressing me?
Yeah, you're out. You're the drip was too strong with Jim.
Yes.
But not listen. Yeah, Jim is Philly through and through. He is also MLS through and through. He comes from the Bob Bradley School of Coaching.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the disciples of Bob Bradley, the two that stand out in terms of their attitude are going to be Jesse Marsh and Jim Curtin.
Yeah.
And they are both might appear to be soft-spoken, but we all know, we've seen the in the locker room stuff with Jim. He ain't afraid to get right down to the point, to drop a few F-bombs and get right to it. And listen, I get, the first leg, first leg, Atlanta got, run out of their own place after a dominant first half in which they should have scored.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get it. Heinze might be pissed, but you know what? Yeah, it's about respect. Like, you lost 4-1. Jim's basically just like, hey, like, good game, like, tough. Like, he respects Heinze. He admitted it, but he can also he can be right in saying he respects him, but he can also be right in saying he also acted like a sore loser and a bit of an asshole.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no way around it.
Right,
I
agree.
Just did not like. Not that I lost or hadn't any or whatever the respect for Heinze, but the one thing I will say, and I don't know if anyone has read Kevin Kincaid's article about this, but he does bring up a good point. He does bring up a good point of saying, yeah, Jim's right, but at the same time, like, I don't know if necessarily it's an era of disrespect, but it is nice to see. Kevin goes, it's nice to see a foreign coach actually like get fired up about stuff around the league. And I'll admit, like, you've seen a lot of foreign coaches come in and just kind of sit on the sideline and just kind of be blah and not really react much. And Heinze is not that kind of a way. He's very fiery. He's very, he's a proud coach. Like he felt slighted, and I get it, but and I respect the passion, but I also say you were acting like a sore loser and an asshole. And Jim has every right to say, you know what, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to call you out on it. And whether or not people agree with it, it's like, you know what, he said what he said, and there was a bit of truth to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. To be quite honest with you guys, and I put this out on Twitter today, Jim, after last night, has solidified his place as the best coach in Philly sports. And I'm going to repeat myself. He has solidified himself as the best coach in Philly sports. When you talk about the longevity now, he's the longest tenured coach in Philadelphia sports. He has been with the Union through the tough times and now through the best times. He's been part of some of the biggest wins in Union history. And last night, the way he defended himself and his team was very Philly-like. So I'm sorry, until Doc Rivers brings us home that NBA Finals trophy, Jim Kirchin is the best damn coach in Philadelphia. You can argue with me all you want, but I ain't changing my mind.
It's like me saying Kasper Shaboko is the best striker in CONCACAF. Right now, the stats back it up.
I mean, just to solidify that point, Justin, he's one of 2 players to score in 4 consecutive knockout round matches in CONCACAF.
Hey, there you go.
It's him and one other guy. I can't remember the name, but
I like that. All right, boys. This was a fun episode here. So let's spend 15 minutes here moving on with our matchup this weekend.
Yeah.
So this upcoming Saturday, the Union are going to get back to MLS play, their 4th match of the season. We'll be up in Chicago, up in Soldier Field. No more Bridgeton?
It was Bridgeview. It's now City.
Now they're in Soldier Field. So the Fire got a bump up. Obviously, we saw them last year, so we kind of are a little familiar with Chicago. But we haven't seen Chicago at Soldier Field. Obviously, everyone in the MLS is trying to move to the whole downtown stadium stuff. But it was funny because but we're talking about the preview before we got on air, and I told Justin and Tim, I'm like, the Fire is such a weird team. Like, when I think about it in American sports, it kind of does remind me of, like, the Cleveland Browns or even, like, the Oakland, LA, Las Vegas Raiders, whatever you want to call them now. Yeah. Because when the Fire started in this league, they were really well respected. Speaking of Jim, they were really well respected. They won trophies. They had fun, entertaining, good players. Hell, they had Cuauhtémoc Blanco there. And ever since Blanco left, it just feels like this team, they had like that one solid year in 2017, right?
Yeah.
But they just can't figure it out. And then the whole like rebranding, moving Soldier Field was smart, but the whole rebranding, and you hear some of the horror stories, how they treated some of their supporters back in Bridgeview or whatever.
Yeah.
And it just feels like a dysfunctional team. They're trying to get back to it. They have a direction, which is good if you're a Fire fan. But it's just like a weird team. It really does.
Yeah.
Tim, what do you think about the Fire when you think about the Fire?
The Fire is supposed to be a team that can compete for a playoff spot this year, but they just aren't. They just aren't that team. You look at them and you say, okay, they have the attacking pieces. They have Madron, who's sort of a winger 10 hybrid who gives you a good, attack in the midfield. Former Union player Fabian Herbers has kind of stand out over the last few years for them. Sort of took over the 10 role, which is why Madron kind of got pushed out to the wing a little bit more, I think. And then they have a clinical scorer in Robert Beric. And I know he doesn't have that many goals in MLS, but he can score. He can score the ball. He's a good striker. If you give him the opportunities and Chicago gives him the service is more of what it is, then he can.
He got us last year.
And that's the issue is Chicago haven't been able to give him the service or put players around him. to be really competitive. And the back line, when you look at how it's constructed, they have Calvo and Kappelhoff as their center backs, and we all know Calvo. He likes to kind of go on some runs, make some challenges that are kind of questionable. I know the red card last year against the Union is questionable. It was still a red card technically. They have Jonathan Bornstein, who I forgot was a player, as their left back.
How is he still playing?
He's still playing.
Like 35, 36, I think.
No, I don't think he's doing too well. Just pulling up what Chicago did in their last game, which was a 2-0 loss to New York Red Bull. Bornstein was actually subbed out of the game, which is weird for a left back to be subbed out of the game. At least I think it is, unless it was injury. I haven't done enough homework to know that, but Chicago is an incomplete team. They look like they should be a fun team when they're on the ball and they're attacking and they're getting service into the box, and like they should have Soldier Field going crazy. But then they turn around and they let in a bunch of goals, and they're just inconsistent, and they seem to give up. That was the one thing I've noticed from last year into this year. Their first match of the year, they played New England. They were up 2-0 on New England, and you say, "Oh crap, is Chicago really going to do it now?" I know it's the first game of the year, but like, "Oh, is Chicago going to be this good version of Chicago?" And then they let New England come back, even after New England got a red card. New England scored 2 goals to draw. So it's Chicago, to me, is inconsistent, and quite honestly, the perfect team the Union could face coming off of CCL now, with a break in between CCL, when they know they have to throw all of their wherewithal back into the MLS play, since the Union are now sitting in 10th place. You need to move up the standings. An away game against Chicago, you should be able to do well with that, and at least get a point. I would say I think the Union should be favored and should get 3 points, but I think they can at least get a point in Chicago.
Yeah, I agree. I think this could be a match where it suits the Union to get back to it. We just talked about the concern of the Union's play through so far this season, but this could be a match where the Union just gain back their confidence. Just get that monkey off your back. Like those 2 bad losses, we get it, but just move on. To your point about Herbers, I just looked at the last 3 matches. Herbers was not even in the 18.
Yeah, he's injured, I believe. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's coming off of that injury, but I do know he's been out. Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like it's a 4-2-3-1. So I'm assuming either like they like to attack with those wings or heavy possession.
Yeah, actually, I didn't even mention Frankowski, who's their other winger. He's speedy, and that's pretty much it. He's just a fast guy out on the wing. Doesn't seem to track back too much from the little bit of highlights that I watched on Chicago.
Well, they still have to deal with CJ Sapong anymore, right?
Yeah, no, he's down in Nashville. Yeah,
he's down in Nashville now. Justin, what do you see from the Chicago side, man? Is there anything that can threaten us? Because it sounds like it's leaning like a Union tree.
I mean, so they have the same record as the Union.
Yeah,
they have a slightly less goal differential. They've only scored 3 goals. Baric has 1 of them. Yeah. And the only guy that seems to be doing anything is, I believe his name is Luka Stojanovic. He's a signing. And he's got 2 goals on the season. But I mean, they have overall the team just. Again, I think Rafael Vicky is a good coach. He appears to be a good coach. I don't know what it is. Like that team I've talked to a few Chicago Fire fans who are just like they don't know what to make of the team, because it feels like on paper they're not going to be a powerhouse, but it feels like they should be able to contend for a playoff spot. Right. At least at the bottom, 6 or 7, at least push for it. And I don't know, it just feels like they just really aren't. I don't know what it is. And with the way the team's been playing, I think Chicago is the perfect team for the Union to play after dealing with a decent game, decent games against Atlanta and not so great game against NYCFC. I think it's the perfect bounce back league game, in my opinion.
Well, I hope so, man. I really do. I agree with both of you guys. I think this is really the perfect game to get on roll here. Going up in Soldier Field, it'll be interesting to see as well. Tim, let's give it to the to your prediction here, man. What do you see could happen here in this match and final score?
Yeah, I think the Union should win this game. I would say it should be pretty comfortable, like a 3-1 win. I think Beric or Stojanovic or whatever his name was there, who's been hot, get a goal for Chicago. But Chicago, like I said, are a team that sort of fall apart. And I said that it goes back into last year and just was checking. They were, I know it was points per game determined the playoff field last year, and there were a lot more teams from the East that got into the playoffs than there will be this year. But they missed out on the playoffs by 1 game. And on decision day, they played New York City FC, and they lost by a goal. It was 4-3. Like, Chicago is a team that, could look good for instances of a match, but then they fall apart. So that's why I say Union will win this one 3-1. It won't be comfortable for all of the 90 minutes because Chicago will be at home, and just like the Union, they're looking to climb up the East, and it's early on in the season. But I think Philly should come in there and they'll be able to find the counterattacks that they want, especially when Chicago implode, which seems to be happening in every match.
We shall see. This will be the first time the Union have ever played in Soldier Field, so we shall see. Justin, what about you, man? What do you see happening tomorrow? Or tomorrow on Sunday?
Yeah, I listen. I think it's gonna be an interesting game. I think, again, we've said, given the way that Chicago's played and given how the Union played outside of league play, it feels like a good game to bounce back with. I agree with Tim's scoreline. I also believe it'll be 3-1. I think it'll be, and I do think either Beric or Stojanovic get the goal, but I think I think the Union, jump out to the 2-0 lead. I think Chicago then pulls one back, and I think the Union get a late one to cap it and make it 3-1. But again, yeah, it's not going to be pretty. I mean, the Union don't exactly do pretty. But it's I'm not going to be too worried. Yeah, it's not going to be like, oh, it's not going to be perfect, but Union soccer is never really truly pretty. And I think Chicago going up to Soldier Field will be a great way to bounce back in the league.
Yeah.
I agree with you guys. I see a 2-0 victory here. I think the Union get back to it. You just get back to your game. That's really all it is. We know how we play. Once you flex those muscles on this team here, I really don't see how Chicago can beat us. Even if they get on top early, I just don't see how they can come back and beat us. And really intrigued where he's going to go with the lineup as well. I mean, some of these guys have been playing a lot of soccer. I mean, even watching Jamiro at the end of that game, just like I wanted to throw in my lungs, just give him some air, man, because he looked tired. He's been putting in some serious work too, guys. And so we'll see what the rotation looks like. We'll see what this lineup looks like. But I still, regardless, see the Union just take care of business against Chicago, man. I really like our chances here. But guys, this weekend is pretty some pretty interesting matchups here in the MLS. I mean, obviously, like you got New York, Toronto. Kamar Lawrence and Armas are with Toronto now. We'll see how that looks. But I really am intrigued with some of these early Sunday matches here. As we have Miami and Atlanta facing off. Now, obviously, Miami, we all know they took care of us last 2 weekends ago, which is it is what it is. But Atlanta, I don't know what Atlanta looks like, and it's to me this
salty.
The more insult, the black label there. To me, this is going to be a really fun matchup, and it's really like, who wants to be the king of the South? I think it's up for grabs. I mean, I think Nashville's still the best team in the South, but I'm really going to be intrigued to watch that. You guys going to watch some MLS action other than our boys in blue?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, it actually is kind of nice. The Union game is a 1 p.m. kick on Saturday.
Oh, so that's right.
So we get the Union game out of the way kind of early, over at 3, and that's when the rest of the games kind of start as well. So yeah, I'll most definitely catch some games after a Union win. That's what I'm excited about. I always love after a Union win scoreboard watching and watching the rest of the teams in the East, fall apart. Hopefully, so that's what I like to look for.
Just saying El Trafico Saturday at 8:00.
Trafico.
It's a great weekend for MLS
Big
soccer.
Boy Fox. I forgot that was happening.
So
And then
I know that's what I'll be watching.
Sunday, Portland, Seattle. So yeah, we got some rivalries this weekend.
Rivalry weekend. It's only week 4.
Yeah.
You have the 2014 expansion, Orlando and NYCFC, Battle Texas.
Yeah.
Vancouver, Montreal already talking crap online.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't think Montreal has a lot of room to talk.
No.
So I think they definitely didn't pick the right, considering how the rebrand hasn't been great. Like, I think people they are the last ones to start talking.
That is pretty funny. Pretty funny. Before we sign off today, guys, I want to give a couple quick shout outs. Ryan Bross, the Tifo guy, Sons of Ben. Just want to give him a quick shout out. We've been messaging back and forth throughout the week. Tifo, with the translation of Philly versus everyone, spectacular and means a lot to me. You guys know I've been wanting to make Sons of Ben more inclusive the past couple of years. Seeing a Tifo in Spanish, fantastic. So big shouts to my man Ryan. And just everyone, showing love yesterday. Thank you so much for all the kind words. People been appreciating DOOP by the River, and it really means a lot to us here. You guys spending time listening to us. We know there are better Union podcasts out there. We got some really good Union podcasts out there, and the fact that you guys spend the time to listen to us, we really can't thank you anymore. And just feeling the love, it really feels good. Union wins are great, but you guys showing us love is also great as well there.
Yeah.
Guys, we did another pod. We did another pod episode here. Let's go. We're keeping on rolling here. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to subscribe to DOOP by the River wherever you listen to podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Tim Lovinguth. That's Justin Freiberg. I go by the name of El Parcero Philly, and we are telling you guys to DOOP on. Let's beat the fire. Let's go.